Vanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Deving Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nasta Praisha Bhadveshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 31. The Movements of the Living Entities, text number 21. Is it 21? Yes. Tasmād aham vigata-viklava uddhariṣya Tasmād aham vigata-viklava uddhariṣya ātmānam tamasaḥ suhṛdātmanaiva ātmānam tamasaḥ suhṛdātmanaiva bhūyo yathā vyasanam etad aneka-randhram bhūyo yathā vyasanam etad aneka-randhram Maye bhaviṣyad upasādita-viṣṇu-pādaḥ Mame bhaviṣyad upasādita-viṣṇu-pādaḥ Please chant. Everybody. Tasmād ahaṁ vigata-viklava uddhariṣya. ātmānam tamasaḥ suhṛdātmanaiva. bhūyo yathā vyasanam aneka-randhram. māme bhaviṣyad upasādita-viṣṇu-pādaḥ. tasmād vigata-viklava uddhariṣya. ātmānam tamasaḥ suhṛdātmanaiva. yo yathā vyasanam etad aneka-randhram. māme bhaviṣyad upasādita-viṣṇu-pādaḥ. tasmād vigata-viklava uddhariṣya. ātmānam tamasaḥ suhṛdātmanaiva. bhūyo yathā vyasanam etad aneka-randhram. māme bhaviṣyad upasādita-viṣṇu-pādaḥ. tasmād vigata-viklava uddhariṣya. ātmānam tamasaḥ suhṛdātmanaiva. yathā vyasanam aneka-randhram. māme bhaviṣyad upasādita-viṣṇu-pādaḥ. Mothers, tasmād vigata-viklava uddhariṣya. ātmānam tamasaḥ suhṛdātmanaiva. bhūyo yathā vyasanam aneka-randhram. māme bhaviṣyad upasādita-viṣṇu-pādaḥ. tasmād vigata-viklava uddhariṣya. ātmānam tamasaḥ suhṛdātmanaiva. bhūyo yathā vyasanam aneka-randhram. māme bhaviṣyad upasādita-viṣṇu-pādaḥ. tasmāt, therefore, aham, I, vigata, ceased, viklava, agitation, uddhariṣye, shall deliver, ātmanam, myself, ashu, quickly, tamasaḥ, from the darkness, suhṛdā, ātmānā, with friendly intelligence, eva, indeed, bhūyo, again, yathā, so that, vyasanam, plight, etad, this, aneka-randhram, entering many wombs, not, may, my, bhaviṣyat, may occur, upasādita, placed in my mind, Viṣṇu-pādaḥ, the lotus feet of Lord Viṣṇu. Translation. Therefore, without being agitated anymore, I shall deliver myself from the darkness of nescience with the help of my friend, clear consciousness. Simply by keeping the lotus feet of the Lord Viṣṇu in my mind, I shall be saved from entering into the wombs of many mothers for repeated birth and death. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The miseries of material existence begin from the very day when the spirit soul takes shelter in the ovum and sperm of the mother and father. They continue after he is born from the womb, and they are further prolonged. We do not know where the suffering ends. It does not end, however, by one's changing his body. The change of body is taking place at every moment, but that does not mean that we are improving from the fetal condition of life to a more comfortable condition. The best thing is, therefore, to develop Krishna consciousness. Here it is stated, upasādita-viṣṇu-pādaḥ. This means realization of Krishna consciousness. One who is intelligent by the grace of the Lord and develops Krishna consciousness is successful in his life, because simply by keeping himself in Krishna consciousness, he will be saved from the repetition of birth and death. The child prays that it is better to remain within the womb of darkness and be constantly absorbed in Krishna consciousness than to get out and again fall a victim to the illusory energy. The illusory energy acts within the abdomen as well as outside the abdomen, but the trick is that one should remain Krishna conscious. And then the effect of such a horrible condition cannot act unfavorably upon him. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that one's intelligence is his friend, and the same intelligence can also be his enemy. Here also the same idea is repeated, suhṛdātmanaiva, friendly intelligence. Absorption of intelligence in the personal service of Krishna and full consciousness of Krishna always are the path of self-realization and liberation. Without being unnecessarily agitated, if we take to the process of Krishna consciousness by constantly chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, the cycle of birth and death can be stopped for good. It may be questioned herein how the child can be fully Krishna conscious within the womb of the mother without any paraphernalia with which to execute Krishna consciousness. It is not necessary to arrange for paraphernalia to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Viṣṇu. The child wants to remain within the abdomen of its mother, and at the same time wants to become free from the clutches of Maya. One does not need any material arrangement to cultivate Krishna consciousness. One can cultivate Krishna consciousness anywhere and everywhere, provided he can always think of Krishna. The Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, can be chanted even within the abdomen of one's mother. One can chant while sleeping, while working, while imprisoned in the womb, or while outside. This Krishna consciousness cannot be checked in any circumstance. The conclusion of the child's prayer is, let me remain in this condition. Although it is very miserable, it is better not to fall a victim to Maya again by going outside. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Janandana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militangena Tasmād Shri Gurave Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasati Gaura Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we have many injunctions, Vedic injunctions. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita tells Arjuna, like, Ya shashtra vidimutsrija vartate kama kartaha, that one who neglects these injunctions and, follows his whims, they don't achieve, like, nasukam, no happiness, nasidhim, no perfection, and they don't achieve, like, the supreme goal of life. They don't achieve the success in life. So these Vedic injunctions, we can't neglect. There's so many instructions. There's rules. We have our 4 regulative principles of freedom, and we have, regulations for eating, sleeping, mating, defending, and we have, processes of deity worship and rules and regulations for worshiping the deities. And this is all to bring one to the the perfection of human life. What is that perfection? Krishna consciousness. What is Krishna consciousness? Everyone, think, what is the perfection of life? What is the, as sometimes people think all these rules and regulations, you do them, then some people may become bored or agitated having to, perform and behave in that way every day. And they become bored or frustrated and miss the goal, the goal of Krishna consciousness. So Srimad Bhagavatam is meant to provoke attraction for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bring you to that point where you become attracted, where you want to have some greed, some lolium, to become more absorbed in the process, So that process, the rules and the behavior that we follow is meant to, you cannot perform sinful activity and expect to develop some attraction for Krishna consciousness. It's not, sinful activity makes it very difficult to, like the number one rule, Smartavya satatang Viṣṇu. Always think of Krishna. Vismartavya najatujit, najatuchit. And never at any time forget Krishna. So, what keeps one able to do that? One has to have some, has to have a taste, some ruchi for Krishna. So what is that taste? So the taste is those feelings of love and attraction that you have for Krishna. So in the beginning, that's our suhṛdā, that we have some attraction. You see the deities, wow, Krishna is very beautiful. We read Krishna book, wow, Krishna is wonderful, marvelous. He is indomitable. He's everything that a person can, the perfection in personality is the perfection of everything is Krishna. So we develop some attraction, we develop some faith, and we begin to become confident that our feelings for Krishna begin to become, we agree to have more of that taste. So that is Krishna consciousness. When one is absorbed, he's absorbed, very feelingly absorbed in the personality of God. That love and attraction is what makes one able to, give up unwanted things, have that taste, and you get emotionally involved in the personality of Godhead. So therefore we have all these injunctions to not engage in sinful activities, because if you engage in sinful activity, it becomes difficult to have feelings for Krishna. Makes it very difficult. Makes your mind becomes, very hard, and the intelligence becomes unfriendly, and you don't have that, anukuli, that favorable disposition in relation with the personality of Godhead, because sinful activities, Maya comes and she cuts you off, puts a wall or something that restricts your consciousness from getting into that atmosphere. So there's a spiritual atmosphere, there's a material atmosphere, and one has to be very careful in dealing in this material atmosphere, because that atmosphere makes you forget, takes your mind away, takes your intelligence away. So we have to, Kapila Muni, I believe, earlier, explaining the characteristics of intelligence, which one of the main characteristics of intelligence is memory. And so we all use our intelligence. It's always, we're in New Taliban, we're discussing the chapter on Puranjan. And it talks about the intelligence, how the intelligence is very intimately described as the wife of the king, the person who lives within his body, Puranjan, one who lives in the city of 9 gates. So intelligence is described very intimately united with the living entity, And intelligence means memory. We have so many memories of our past experience. I have so many memories of surfing in Hawaii, and it's still in there is my body, imagination still can imagine. And so many memories we have of friends, and lovers, and parents, and country, society, friendship, so-called love, so many memories like that. So it takes cultivation to build memories of Krishna. And it takes attraction and affection to build the relationship with Krishna. So like Prabhupada said, it's a gradual process. And it's all broken down into steps by which we get to the point where we have constantly absorbed, as Prabhupada states here, constantly absorbed. So it becomes so constantly absorbed that you don't fall victim to the material energy. You can give up unwanted things, and you always have to, sadhusanga, sarva siddhi hoy, that all perfection comes by, Prabhupada said like 99.9% of the perfection in Krishna consciousness comes by associating with pure devotees. So it's always enlivening, like even you come here to the temple, so many devotees are here, it's enlivening. So that's protection, because they say the kripa, or a garden, like I know in Mississippi they got hogs and deers and rabbits, armadillos, they'll bury under your fence, and all these things will destroy your garden. So it's just like Maya. Maya will, material energy will destroy your Krishna consciousness. So we have to protect, and the protection is building a fence around your garden, and that fence has been described as associating with devotees of the Lord. And then you're protected. And then your attraction, and love for Krishna will flourish, and will grow, and produce fruits. And what are those fruits? Fruits of the love of God. They become emotionally involved. Body trembling, tears from the eyes, hair standing on end. These are symptoms of the soul. And so, I know they say sahajas, they can imitate all of these, crying and, falling on the ground and, like this, but, you have to get real and have, if the sahajas, if they follow the rules and regulations, they can make great spiritual advancement. They already have, they can make symptoms come. I even know one sinful man in my life. He goes, "Can you do this?" And he makes his hairs all stand on end. So like that, we can have the not this Krishna consciousness is deep. It's not superficial, cheap understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But one has to develop a hankering. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talk, we're all hankering and lamenting, hankering for things we want and lamenting for what we couldn't have. But that same hankering can be transcendentally utilized. Hanker for Krishna, lament that I spent so much time in my life wasting time, not thinking about Krishna, and and we can develop that hankering, develop a feelingly hanker for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this way, the perfection of life is there. Self-realization, Mayavadis and personalists and voidists make it seem so difficult, hard to get, But Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says, "Bhavami na chirat," it will not be a long time. If you control your mind, control your senses, Krishna says, I am known as the samudharta, the swift deliverer from the mrityu samsara sagara, like Prabhupada says here, the repeated birth and death, getting changed into, different body, mrityu samsara sagara, ocean of birth and death, this material world. But Krishna says he's the swift deliverer, samudharta, and bhavamina chirat. It will not be a long time. But you have to know what you're getting into, So the Mayavadis and personalists, they have all the rules and regulations, but they're just not getting anywhere. They're frustrated. They're not, they think that loving Krishna is Maya, and to have this kind of, I talked to one Muslim person, they say, to think you can love God is like sinful, you can't, But what is self-realization? Is it, like merging into becoming, or just becoming happy? Self-realization, So self-realization is blissful. It's happiness. It's an ocean of happiness. But what is it? What is its characteristic of, that happiness? Willingness to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is a characteristic. And what does one feel? Self-realization is simply just loving Krishna. A constant. we hear steadiness. We hear about being steady minds, steady intelligence, fixed in consciousness, And you hear the qualities like tolerance, patience, and this is all love of Krishna. You can't make any step forward in spiritual life unless there's a love and affection for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's self-realization. We all have realization of having affection. We place and we have misplaced our affection in the material nature. And we all know what, we like something or we don't like something. So, but we just have to learn to like Krishna and love Krishna. And everybody has a level of self-realization in relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everyone. Some people just might go, oh my God, and have feeling of great reverence and awe for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But everybody has a level, a particular. But that Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, this has to bring us to the highest level of love of God. To the point where you can sit down anywhere and chant Hare Krishna and be fully absorbed in love of God while you're sleeping, eating, So like that, the devotees achieve the highest perfection, prayojana, the love of God. So are there questions or comments at this time? Yes?
You mentioned, thank you, Prabhu. You mentioned a couple times.
Sounds not coming through very good. Well, devotees are in kind of a fortunate situation because, Krishna, his paraphernalia, his associates, his entourage, his abode, everything is Krishna. So when you're working, you're doing something to please your spiritual master, you're dealing with Krishna consciousness just by, picking up the Bhagavatam and, putting it away and cleaning the temple, or, but the thing is, if you develop favorable feelings while you're doing this, and that increases the respect and the awe, the reverence, and for just walking on a temple room floor, or and seeing Krishna's property, or it's just an automatic absorption. In the beginning, we may not feel it at first, but after a while, you develop the reverence for every aspect. Like I'm working with tools and wood and machines, but it's all in Krishna service. So then after a while you see that, wow, I'm just having fun here, and it's not difficult to understand if you follow the rules, but if one is engaging in sinful activity, it becomes like hackneyed, it becomes all frustrating, and it doesn't feel right, you don't feel good, you become, and eventually if someone's sinful, they have to go away. But if one follows the rules, and you have to think favorably, of course, your intelligence you have to be educated, but everything we do, and everything is just to establish a better relationship with Krishna. Vedanta krit veda videva ahaṁ, Vedaischa savaram eva vedyo. By all the Vedas, by all these rules and Vedic injunctions, it's Krishna who has to be known. They're all meant to revive your relationships, the chanting of Hare Krishna mantra, so that you can have Krishna there on your tongue, in your heart, in your ear, and you just chant, and then gradually sagunan samatitya etad, you rise above the modes of material nature, and you become situated in your original spiritual condition, Prabhupada. And then everything just proceeds nicely, and one day you realize, man, I'm just having fun. And everything becomes, like Krishna says in Gita, devotional service is joyfully performed. But you gotta feel it, you have to realize it, and not be, hung up mentally or intelligently, or, intelligence means also discrimination, fault finding. So you can find all kinds of faults in this world, faults with everybody else. But Krishna describes you have to be averse to this fault finding. We find fault to find out what is favorable, what is unfavorable for our service, but we, take it, we have to become anukulya in everything. You have to have a favorable, good attitude, approaching. What is that attitude? Submissive, surrendered, tolerant, patient. And all of these good qualities all develop from having just a little affection for Krishna. And then we can have the proper, mentality and everything to continue in our approach. So our approach has to be, like Prabhupada said, very humble. Approach the Lord very humbly and submissively, and make progress. Any other questions, comments? Yes?
I was listening one time to a class, or a talk from one of the and he said something that he was doing some preaching at some hospital, and he was talking about the passage it's really quite like like reassuring to the material mind that we actually don't have to go outside to learn about what is important in development of human life, when everything we have is just simply here in the morning of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. It's perfection.
Yeah, there's many things that can keep a person conditioned in material life, but the only thing that can cut that knot, that attachment and we have so much faith in science and gadgets and this and that, and it's just that little affection for Krishna can, it makes you feel that you're in the know, you become aware, because the living entity is full of knowledge, and when a self-realized soul can see things as they are, without having to go through microscopes and telescopes and all sorts of, different kinds of chemical research with test tubes and all of these things. It's not necessary to have a full life and to be learned. The boatman and the scholar. We all know the story. So much time you've wasted. And he tells you, so much time you have wasted. You don't even know how to swim. And anyway. So like that, the Krishna conscious person is, they're superhuman. They're extraordinary living entities that that are helping us to revive and become fully conscious. And you got to remember that fully conscious means it's just a loving, affectionate, friendly consciousness, in relation with the Supreme Lord. I was telling my son at his wedding, so if you develop your love for Krishna, there'll be no question of love in your relationship with your wife, your friends, your family. But people think they have to give their affection, if I don't love this or I don't love that. But love, Prabhupada says, love is meant for Krishna. But when you love Krishna, that, like you water the root of the tree, then all the other leaves, twigs, branches, all become nourished with the love that they need. So like that, it's not difficult. Everybody knows loving and hating, all these dualities, but we have experience. So we just have to utilize it in relation with Krishna and see the result of that affection. That's how we get results. And then all your service all becomes pleasing and everything becomes very nice. The Prabhupada always say this Krishna consciousness is very nice. This Krishna consciousness is wonderful, you will see, like that. But it takes love. Yes, Manaji? Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you very much.
Jai Mani. No, you're welcome. I think you want the garland? Oh, yes.